this psychological thriller novel has really been turned into a manga. The story opens with a secluded paradise surrounded by mountains. Yet, who could have imagined that deep at the bottom of these unfathomable cliffs lies a starkly contrasting scene of misery? The grimy figure before us is named Li Huo Wang, idly grinding away at a medicine jar. Beside him crouches a woman, lost in a daze of foolishness. The woman was staring intently at the dark, sticky medicinal paste inside the jar. It turns out she had mistaken the medicinal paste for rare candy. But Li Huo Wang, looking annoyed, pushed her away. But unexpectedly, the woman didn't take it seriously and instead giggled foolishly, saying it was fun. Li Huo Wang felt a bit helpless. He had originally intended to explain the contents of the bowl to her, but after a moment's thought, he decided it wasn't worth the effort and let it go. This damned place is like a museum of deformities where idiots, fools, cripples, and freaks are everywhere you look. So he just couldn't figure out why he had to mingle with these people. Just as he was feeling frustrated, something unusual suddenly happened behind him. He saw a stout, burly man with a cleft lip pinning a woman down, attempting to assault her. Although the woman resisted with all her might, she couldn't break free from the man's iron grip. Even more outrageous, the onlookers were all grinning with strange smiles, clearly treating it as a spectacle. At this moment, Li Huo Wang didn't want to get involved, not because he was indifferent, but because he felt everything before him was fake. But even though he tried to deceive his heart with the word illusion, he couldn't truly detach himself from it all. So in the next moment, he directly grabbed the medicine pestle and struck down. And the target was the cleft-lipped man's head. With a dull thud, blood splattered everywhere, and the big man immediately clutched his head and fell to the ground. The blow wasn't fatal. The big man howled in pain while cursing in a thick accent, threatening to bring his master to finish him off. Unexpectedly, Li Huo Wang didn't care at all and even said that in his eyes, this master was nothing but a fart. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. They never expected that this young man would be so audacious as to dare insult the master in such a manner. Sure enough, in less than a breath's time, a white-robed Taoist hurried over. Although his Taoist robe was far better than Li Huo Wang's clothes, it was still tattered and worn. He had come specifically to summon Li Huo Wang, and of course, he had also called along junior sister Wang. And this junior sister Wang was none other than the dazed and confused girl who had been squatting beside Li Huo Wang earlier. Although in the little Taoist's words she was merely a junior sister to Li Huo Wang, she was actually his senior sister. The hair-lipped man was overjoyed at the sight and laughed heartily. Hehehe, you're finished, lad. The day's yours today, the teasin'. Li Huo Wang couldn't be bothered with him. He snorted coldly and intended to go over to see what was happening. But as soon as he turned around, someone grabbed him. The person was none other than the girl he had just saved. She looked pitiful, hoping that Li Huo Wang would not go over. At this moment, it was also the first time Li Huo Wang took a closer look at the person before him. Although the girl's clothes were also dirty, they couldn't hide her delicate and refined aura. Her skin was so fair it seemed to glow, perhaps due to albinism. Yet Li Huo Wang merely glanced back before turning away with a flick of his sleeve, for he held no attachment to anything here. Senior sister Wang skipped along the way very happy, and even said there would be candy to eat. As they walked along a dim mountain path, they were almost at the place where their master was. But Li Huo Wang felt no emotion in his heart. He didn't care what would happen when he met his master. He was just curious about why he had gotten so angry with that group of people earlier. My personality isn't this flamboyant at all. Oh well, I can't let these things affect me. While lost in thought, someone suddenly nudged his arm. No need to think twice, it must be senior sister Wang. He had ignored her earlier, but she just wouldn't let it go. Frustrated, Li Huo Wang suddenly lost his temper. He grabbed senior sister's arm and demanded to know what she wanted. The sudden grab startled senior sister Wang, leaving her momentarily stunned. She trembled slightly and opened her palm. Would you like some malt candy? So senior sister wanted to offer him some candy. Looking at this puddle of dark red candy paste, Li Huo Wang impatiently took it. There was no way he was going to eat it. He only took it to avoid further trouble. The scene before me was somewhat eerie, a vast expanse of crimson red, radiating overwhelming baleful energy. However, it's rather laughable to say, despite his esteemed status as a master, he pays no mind to his image. Beneath him lies an enormous medicine pot, and the medicine in his hand is astonishingly coarse. Yet, even such a massive object is wielded with effortless ease, as if it were an extension of his own arm. Senior Sister Wang, though somewhat simple-minded, holds deep respect for the master. From a distance, she bows respectfully toward him. With a heavy thud, the master's voice drifted over. "Here you are, my good disciple. I've been waiting for you for so long." Hearing the noise behind him, the master stopped what he was doing and suddenly revealed a terrifyingly large face. His head was covered in scabies, which sent shivers down one's spine, and his sparse, misshapen yellow teeth were utterly repulsive. Suddenly, he leaped and flipped directly behind the two of them. With lightning speed, he grabbed Senior Sister Wang by the neck. Then he tossed her upward and threw her into the medicine pot. After succeeding, Master Leperhead let out a strange laugh and immediately jumped back. Seeing this posture, could it be that he also regards his disciple as a medicinal ingredient? And Senior Sister Wang at this moment only feels something soft and sticky beneath her. Isn't this the rare sugar she has been longing for? Master is so kind, she thought, gazing at the huge pestle descending from the sky, and Senior Sister Wang smiled foolishly. In the next moment, accompanied by the sound of flesh and blood tearing apart, Senior Sister Wang fell silent forever. The master, now even more deranged, vigorously pounded with the pestle while muttering incessantly. Ding Chou extend my years, Ding Hai guard my soul. Jiazi shield my body, Jiasu preserve my form. Jiashen fortify my fate. Jiawu watch over my spirit. Jiachen awaken my true essence. Rise the furnace, refine the elixirs. The scene before him was truly horrifying. Although Li Huo Wang could not see the gruesome state inside the medicine jar, he understood exactly what was happening. No matter how hard he tried to calm his mind, he was still utterly terrified, his soul seemingly fleeing his body. As a faint medicinal fragrance wafted out, two eerie Taoist boys stepped forward. The two poured the freshly pounded medicinal paste into a massive Dan furnace. Fake, the smell is fake. Master is fake too, it's all fake. Li Huo Wang comforted himself like this, but just then, the leperhead master suddenly spoke up. I heard you refer to this Taoist master as a fart? Is this true? The master squinted his eyes, his expression unfriendly. However, Li Huo Wang was nearly deranged. He kept hypnotizing himself, trying to view everything before his eyes as an illusion, so he simply paid no attention to the master's questioning. Seeing this, Master Leperhead flew into a rage and lunged forward. In the blink of an eye, that foul blood-soaked stench rushed right up to him. At that moment, Li Huo Wang felt a suffocating sensation enveloping him, as if he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. The scene shifts. This is the long-awaited real world. When Li Huo Wang woke from the illusion, he found himself tied to a hospital bed. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Just as expected, everything I just experienced was merely an illusion. Not long after, his attending physician hurried over. Just like before, the doctor carefully recorded the hallucination described by Li Huo Wang. Li Huo Wang did not conceal anything. He mentioned the appearance of Master Leperhead in the hallucination. He also mentioned how the master cruelly killed Senior Sister Wang, and then used her for alchemy. Yet, hearing such shocking descriptions, the physician merely recorded them calmly, seemingly unmoved at all. Of course, Li Huo Wang couldn't figure it out either. He didn't know what the appearance of such an illusion meant for him, or perhaps whether it was related to his inner thoughts and psychology. However, the doctor told him not to worry about these things. He only needed to focus on the duration of each time he was lost in the illusion. Secondly, it was about the stability of his mental state during the experiences. From the recent account, the physician believed that Li Huo Wang had already overcome the perceptual disturbances caused by the illusions, which was a significant improvement. Then in the future, whenever he finds himself in a difficult situation, he only needs to stay true to himself and treat everything as an illusion to speed up his recovery. Of course, before he left, he specifically reminded him. He instructed Li Huo Wang to try to act according to the thinking logic of that world and future illusions, as only by doing so could he be discharged as soon as possible. Although Li Huo Wang didn't quite understand this statement, but the phrase discharge as soon as possible was overheard by a young girl at the door. The girl had bright eyes and pearly white teeth, with raven-black hair cascading like a waterfall. Though simply dressed, her presence seemed to drain the color from the entire world. Her name is Yang Na, and she is Li Huo Wang's childhood sweetheart. Li Huo Wang gazed at her mesmerized, and before he knew it, a silly smile spread across his face. Stop laughing, it looks really ugly when you smile. Look what I brought for you. The teachers personally assigned the review homework, Seeing this familiar title, Li Huo Wang's head instantly started to ache. No way, we've grown up playing together since we were kids. Is this how you get back at me? Yang Na, who had long anticipated this scene, gave a sly smile and lightly tapped Li Huo Wang's head with the documents. Then she took out a small handheld game console from her bag. And there's this too. Be good, call me big sister. And I'll give it to you. The appearance of the game console instantly perked Li Huo Wang up. He affectionately called her sister over and over, even stretching out his arm to try and snatch it. In that instant, the two were almost pressed together. Yang Na couldn't help but feel a surge of nervousness, letting him snatch the game console away. Indeed, staying in a mental hospital every day, the utterly bored Li Huo Wang was almost going crazy from boredom. Watching Li Huo Wang's happy expression, Yang Na couldn't help but smile sweetly too. Hey, don't play too much. Remember to do your homework. Don't you forget. What did you promise me? Hearing this, Li Huo Wang, who had been tapping away incessantly, suddenly stopped. He put down his handheld console and said seriously, I remember. We promised to get into the same university. After saying this, he pulled Yang Na into a tight embrace. Although there was no overly intimate gesture between them at that moment, this simple embrace was already a great satisfaction for the couple deeply in love. Nana, I will definitely recover. The girl gently closed her eyes and said softly, focus on getting better. I'll be waiting for you. The tender moments are always fleeting. Before I knew it, half the day had passed. Yang Na also had to return to school. Li Huo Wang felt reluctant and decided to go out to see her off. After all, this way he would have a little more time to spend with her. However, as soon as he put on his slippers, he suddenly felt a wave of dizziness before his eyes. In that instant, he almost thought he was about to fall into another illusion. And what was even more terrifying was that the mortar and pestle he had just used for grinding medicine were now openly displayed on the bedside table beside him. But in the next moment, Yang Na's anxious cry came through. Ah, what's wrong? Are you okay? Seeing his sudden change in expression, Yang Na was very worried. Li Huo Wang thought to himself that something was wrong and quickly struck a playful pose. Haha, did I scare you? Seeing that this guy actually dared to joke about such a serious matter, Yang Na immediately pouted in anger. You're old enough. Do you still think you're a child? How could you do something so childish? Watching Yang Na's angry expression, Li Huo Wang wanted to go over and comfort her, but he didn't know where to start. He glanced back at the bedside table where a clean lunchbox sat, while the grimy medicine grinder seemed to have never existed. Li Huo Wang didn't think much and chased after it, no matter what. Accompanying Yang Na for a longer walk was the immediate priority. However, he had just stepped out of the building when the world before his eyes began to distort again. What's going on? Why does this illusion feel increasingly severe? Li Huo Wang shook his head and jogged to catch up with Yang Na. Finally, after his persistent and clingy apologies, Yang Na suddenly turned around and poked his cheek. With just one glance at her adorable, almost melting gaze, it was clear she didn't look angry at all. I'll come to see you again next week. Be good while you're in there, okay? Seeing this scene, Li Huo Wang's previously tense mood instantly relaxed. He responded with a smile. Okay. Afterward, the two reluctantly waved goodbye to each other through the courtyard gate. On the way back to his room, Li Huo Wang suddenly became deeply worried. Whether it was the mortar and pestle he first saw, or the dazed state he experienced just now at the door, both made him uncertain about his condition. If the condition really worsens, doesn't that mean I won't be able to be discharged before the college entrance exam, and won't be able to get into the same university as Nana? It's Dr. Li after all. He's the best physician Dad could hire. He wouldn't lie to me, would he? I'm so annoyed. Thinking this, Li Huo Wang raised his arms high, as if questioning the heavens for tormenting him so. But it was this very act of raising his arms that made him feel something unusual in his chest pocket. When he pulled it out, he felt a chilling cold strike straight through the crown of his head. No way. Isn't this the malt candy that silly senior sister gave me? Something from that illusion. How could it appear in reality? Baffled, he couldn't resist dipping a little to taste it. The flavor was bitter with a hint of sweetness. Definitely not fake. No, impossible, I must go tell Dr. Li. With that thought, he broke into a sprint, wanting Dr. Li to help analyze it. But he had only taken a few steps when he suddenly stopped, because a strange idea suddenly popped into his mind. If the maltose in front of him was real, then this might not be such a bad thing after all. After all, in that illusion it wasn't just Maltos, it was filled with opportunities. Bringing things from another world into reality is something many people dream of. And such an opportunity just happened to be stumbled upon by our very own Li Huo Wang. What's more crucial is that this so-called other world is merely an illusion, or even just a dream within the mind of this mentally ill patient. At this thought, Li Huo Wang's eyes lit up. He felt he had stumbled upon an incredible way to make money. So he closed his eyes and opened them again, returning to this bizarre illusion world, and immediately started borrowing money from his fellow sufferers. Oh wait, that's not quite right. They can't really be considered fellow sufferers, at most they're just mindless, disabled beings created by the illusion. However, in response to Li Huo Wang's demands, those people not only remained indifferent but even showed expressions of confusion. Seeing this, Li Huo Wang let out a bitter sigh. How could these people, who were being used as medicinal ingredients, possibly have any money? But just then, a timid voice suddenly came from behind him. Li Huo Wang turned around and realized it was the albino girl he had saved earlier from the hair-lipped burly man. She pulled Li Huo Wang by the clothes to a secluded corner. Then she took off a very thin gold bracelet from her ankle. Just now she heard Li Huo Wang asking everyone for money, so she wanted to contribute her small share with her ankle bracelet. Li Huo Wang silently watched from the side. Then without hesitation, he accepted it. He felt no psychological burden. After all, the people and events before him were mere illusions. Only these tangible things that could be taken into reality held any value. He weighed the gold bracelet in his hand. Although it was quite light, it was still gold after all, which was better than nothing. He carefully and solemnly tucked it into his embrace, saying he would borrow it for a few days and return it after some time. Then, as a token of gratitude, he handed over the malt candy that silly senior sister had given him. This scene was naturally witnessed by the onlookers, though their eyes were filled with disappointment. They had expected something more exciting to happen between the two. So boring. But just at that moment, before the crowd could disperse, a chilling voice suddenly rang out from behind. It turned out to be that Taoist overseer who had arrived. A few of his casually spoken words drifted down. Frightened, everyone hurriedly scattered and fled. Yet, only Li Huo Wang and the other person remained unmoved, squatting off to the side. The Taoist raised an eyebrow in surprise and sneered with a sinister tone. "Junior brother Li, it's truly a pity that you didn't get to become the master's medicinal ingredient last time." Li Huo Wang stared at him coldly without uttering a word. He had some impression of this Taoist. It seemed his name was something like Mythic Yang. Seeing that Li Huo Wang ignored him, Mythic Yang didn't bother wasting words either. With a contemptuous flick of his horsetail whisk, he turned and walked away. But at the very moment he turned, a translucent jade-green pendant was revealed. Unsurprisingly, this item naturally caught Li Huo Wang's attention. The jade pendant is nice, but it'll be mine soon." And so that very midnight Li Huo Wang sneaked out of Mythic Yang's room. This trip went extremely smoothly. Who knows where that Mythic Yang guy ran off to? It's so late and he's not even in his cave dwelling. He looked at the treasure in his hand, overjoyed. If he could take this back and sell it, it should be enough to cover his and Nana's college tuition for the next few years. At this thought, he couldn't help but leap for joy, even starting to skip along the rugged mountain path. But he hadn't gone far when he noticed flickering flames at a bend ahead, with several people gathered there whispering something. In a daze, a chilling voice suddenly sounded from behind. "Junior brother Li, why are you here at this hour?" Li Huo Wang was startled and turned around to find that it was none other than that fellow Yang Ji, who had somehow appeared behind him without notice. However, what was strange was that Yang Ji was actually wearing a set of dirty, coarse linen clothes at this moment. Fortunately, Yang Ji didn't think too much of it, and simply assumed that Li Huo Wang had mistakenly stumbled into this place. "Since you're here, it's your lucky day," he said, dragging Li Huo Wang forward as he walked. As they moved, he mentioned that he would take him along to escape, adding that the senior brother guarding the front had already cleared the way out. Hearing this, Li Huo Wang suddenly realized that these guys were actually planning to escape. But before Li Huo Wang could utter the word escape, Mythic Yang tightly covered his mouth with a hand. Then without any hesitation he threw a punch and said, "If you don't want to leave, then stay here and wait to die. We will absolutely not let you go back." To tip off that leperhead. Although he took a punch, Li Huo Wang was completely unfazed. He didn't believe that these NPCs formed by the illusion could pose any real threat to him. The only thing he couldn't figure out was how unexpectedly the plot was unfolding. Whatever, he simply closed his eyes. In a moment of thought, he returned to the real world. Sure enough, he was back. Feeling the bed beneath him, Li Huo Wang let out a long sigh of relief. As expected, just like before, he found himself tied to the bed with several straps. Wrapped up like a zongzi, he felt somewhat helpless and wondered if he had managed to bring back the jade pendant and bracelet. Besides, it's already this late. The caregiver must be long asleep by now. Oh well, might as well check over there later. With that thought, he closed his eyes and returned once more to that illusory world. When he opened his eyes, he found himself still standing on the mountain path from before. The only difference was that the place was now eerily quiet, without a single person in sight. Could it be that those guys had already escaped? But it doesn't matter, it's all just an illusion. How could it possibly hurt me? The next morning, while everyone was still asleep, a Taoist boy suddenly rushed in a panic. He loudly announced his master's command, saying that everyone was to gather at Huiyan Hall. Although everyone was reluctant, they feared their master's reprimand and had no choice but to get up and head there. At this moment, Li Huo Wang still wore an indifferent expression. He vaguely suspected something but wasn't entirely sure. Before long, a dense crowd had gathered outside Huiyan Hall. Master Leperhead opened the door and stepped out, his expression and gaze making it impossible to tell whether he was pleased or angry. Li Huo Wang also looked utterly baffled. What is this old man up to again? It wasn't until he noticed the rope in his master's hand, and the noticeably fewer direct disciples, that he suddenly understood. Last night during the second watch, someone tried to escape? Among them were two of my very own direct disciples. This Taoist master is deeply heartbroken, oh. After saying this, Master Leperhead tugged on the rope and pulled out a string of people tied together. And among them happened to be senior brother Mythic Yang, who had attempted to escape last night. Seriously, how lame is that? Caught just like that? Li Huo Wang sneered, looking down disdainfully. At that very moment, a fierce expression suddenly appeared on Master Leperhead's face. He swung the rope upward, effortlessly sending the bound disciple soaring into the air. Following the master's gesture and the incantation "open," a bottomless, enormous chasm suddenly appeared. In the blink of an eye, it swallowed all those fleeing people. Screams and the sound of bones breaking echoed within the pit, sending chills down everyone's spine. Even Li Huo Wang shut his eyes tightly, struggling to calm the fear in his heart. It's all an illusion, just an illusion. Everything here is caused by my hallucinations. He turned his back, thinking to himself. But the next moment, a blood-curdling shriek pierced the air, startling Li Huo Wang so much that the hairs on his neck stood on end. He instinctively dodged to the side, only to see his junior brother impaled by a massive black tentacle and dragged into that bottomless abyss. What is this thing? Could it also be something I created in my hallucination? Li Huo Wang's face was filled with horror, his eyes brimming with disbelief. It can't be. Things in hallucinations can't hurt me. It's impossible. If you think this is a hidden place for immortal cultivation, you couldn't be more wrong. Because the leading master, Danyangzi, is not only hideous in appearance, but also imprisons countless mentally disabled and physically handicapped individuals to pound medicine for him. What's even more terrifying is that he will, without warning, throw people into a medicine pot, crush them, and use them as medicinal ingredients. In such days filled with constant fear and anxiety, even his closest personal disciples find it unbearable. One night, they joined forces with others and prepared to escape. But for some reason their escape attempt failed and they were all captured and brought back. And now Li Huo Wang watched helplessly as his master threw these disciples into a bottomless abyss, where they were torn apart and devoured by a terrifying tentacled monster. If anyone dares to harbor any treacherous thoughts in the future, remember what you witnessed today. Danyangzi radiated an overwhelming baleful energy as he issued this warning, frightening everyone into bowing their heads and trembling. Disciples, let me tell you, helping someone achieve immortality is a great merit. If I, your master, attain immortality, I certainly won't forget your contributions. But if anyone dares to ruin my plans, humph. As he spoke, Danyangzi had already walked up to Li Huo Wang's side. Suddenly, he turned his terrifying gaze directly toward Li Huo Wang. Last night, those traitors invited you to leave with them. Why did you refuse? The question came abruptly. If it were an ordinary disciple, they would likely have been scared out of their wits. Yet at this moment, Li Huo Wang not only remained silent but didn't even offer the most basic courtesy in return. In reality, he was inwardly comforting himself, trying to follow Dr. Li's advice and treat everything as an illusion. So even though the master's oppressive aura was suffocating, Li Huo Wang stubbornly treated it as nothing. "You're just a thought in my head," he thought. "Why should I fear you?" Suddenly, Dan Yangzi's expression softened. She raised her right hand and patted Li Huo Wang on the head, and the tense atmosphere instantly dissipated. While saying not bad, he gave Li Huo Wang the status of a nominal disciple, and assigned him to manage the storeroom. This turn of events was indeed unexpected for Li Huo Wang. He never imagined that by simply remaining silent, he would somehow gain a slight boost in status. Yet, as soon as this thought crossed his mind, he felt that something wasn't quite right. Could it be that this guy thinks too many of his disciples have died, and he's short on help, so he's using me as a replacement? Sure enough, just as he thought of this, Dan Yangzi smiled and bestowed upon him a Taoist name, which was Mythic Yang. Upon hearing this, Li Huo Wang suddenly felt like laughing. "I never expected that right after you killed the previous Mythic Yang, I would become the new Mythic Yang?" He felt a bit self-mocking, not knowing what was going on in his head to fantasize such a plot. But the next moment, a heavy bag was tossed into his hand. Dan Yangzi said, "Inside are 5 divine elixir pills as his reward. After taking it, not only will you gain an additional 10 years of lifespan, but you will also temporarily acquire the ultimate strength skill to protect your life. See that? Opposing the Taoist master is a dead end. But anyone who helps the Taoist master will be rewarded, and handsomely at that." After doing all this, Dan Yangzi walked away with his hands behind his back, completely satisfied. But he didn't know that Li Huo Wang was already covered in goosebumps, because he remembered the scene not long ago when senior sister Wang was crushed by the giant medicine. At this thought, unable to bear it any longer, he closed his eyes and immediately returned to the real world. Although these experiences were too bizarre, fortunately, the treasures inside were indeed brought out. So next, it's time to verify the authenticity of this jade pendant and gold bracelet. But what about these Dan pills? If the jade pendant and bracelet are real, then these Dan pills must also be effective, right? At this thought, a sudden urge to taste them arose in his heart. But just at that moment, the door to the room was suddenly pushed open, and Yang Na, dressed in her school uniform, appeared at the doorway, sounding somewhat angry. "Go on, what's the matter? I climbed over the wall to get out. If this is a prank." "Huh." Watching Yang Na threateningly raising her small fist like that, Li Huo Wang inexplicably felt a warmth in his heart. However, he suddenly pushed Yang Na into the room, and then nervously glanced down the corridor. After confirming that no one was following, he quickly closed the door and even drew the curtains. This scene instantly made Yang Na's face flush bright red. What are you trying to do? If we talk here, the nurse's station can hear us." Sure enough, as soon as these words were spoken, a muffled giggle came from the speaker hanging in the room. "Hehe, it's okay, we can't hear anything. Little brother Li, you've got to keep it up." Li Huo Wang was left speechless by what he heard. He turned his back and discreetly slipped the item in his hand to Yang Na. Then he didn't hold back and fired back. "I say, ladies, could you please not be so nosy? Wouldn't it be better to focus your extra attention on the intensive care unit?" And at this moment, Yang Na finally got a clear look at the object in her hand. Seeing it was a smooth emerald green jade pendant, she couldn't help but feel a bit curious. However, Li Huo Wang gestured for silence and then quietly explained the whole story behind it. Yang Na's eyes widened more and more, clearly finding this utterly absurd matter hard to believe. A few days later, Yang Na arrived as promised. Upon hearing the nurse's notification, Li Huo Wang hurriedly opened the door to greet her. But as soon as he opened the door, he saw several security guards passing by in full gear. Out of curiosity, he quickly asked Mr. Zhao what exactly had happened. But Mr. Zhao clearly had no time to explain in detail. He only urged Li Huo Wang to quickly close the door and not come out casually, because old Lu in the hospital secretly spat out his medicine, and has now disappeared to who knows where. Hearing this, Li Huo Wang was somewhat puzzled. He hadn't expected that old Lu, with such a small frame, could actually escape from the intensive care unit. It was really strange. But what does any of this have to do with me? I'm still waiting to go see Nana. Not long after, he met Yang Na in a secluded area of the courtyard. As expected, both the jade pendant and the gold bracelet were genuine, authentic antiques. The estimated value of that single jade pendant is no less than 400,000 yuan. Hearing this, Li Huo Wang's originally anxious heart finally relaxed. He scratched his head and suddenly burst into wild laughter. "I knew it would be like this, I'm not sick at all." He happily picked up Yang Na and spun her around in the air several times. But for some reason at that moment, it seemed as though the person in his arms had white hair and looked strangely familiar. However, he didn't pay much attention to it, as the frequent occurrences of illusions had already left him somewhat numb. He smiled and asked Yang Na. He asked her if she was ready to become a little rich woman. Upon hearing this, Yang Na gave him a light punch in annoyance, thinking he was just talking nonsense. Although such unexpectedly acquired antiques are indeed of great value to her, she cares more about Li Huo Wang's health. She doesn't want this matter to delay his treatment. Hearing this, Li Huo Wang felt a warm feeling in his heart. But he never expected that as soon as he nodded, a sudden chill ran down his back. The sudden turn of events left him no time to react, and he even began to hallucinate, as if he were trapped in an illusory world. This scene was strikingly similar to the situation when Danyangzi used senior sister Wang as a medicinal catalyst. By the time he came to his senses, he realized that Yang Na had already been pinned to the ground by a drooling old man. And this scene vaguely resembled the moment when the white-haired girl was being humiliated. Li Huo Wang panicked instantly. He had no time to dwell on these illusions and instead shouted angrily, "Old Lu! Let go of her! She's my girlfriend!" But he never expected that before he could even get close, a stone hit him right in the face. Instantly his head went numb and he fell backward. This scene made Yang Na's heart race with fear. She anxiously called out Li Huo Wang's name. But Li Huo Wang was now in a daze. He wanted to tell old Lu to stop, but his voice had become too weak to be heard. A large pool of blood had spread beneath his head, and the bright red color reminded him of something. He clearly remembered Danyangzi saying that besides extending one's lifespan, the Dan pill could also temporarily grant the ultimate strength skill for self-preservation. Amid his contemplation, Yang Na's cries of distress reached him, shattering his last vestige of rationality. Then Yang Na watched in disbelief as Li Huo Wang suddenly flipped over and stood up, and tossed a squirming crimson Dan pill into his mouth. At that moment, Yang Na suddenly felt that Li Huo Wang's aura was somewhat unfamiliar, but she had no time to think. She then realized that Li Huo Wang, who had just been in her line of sight, had vanished without a trace, replaced by the swift sound of something cutting through the air. Old Lu, in great alarm, turned his head to look around. He hadn't even clearly seen what it was before he was grabbed by the head and flung 8 zhang away. At this moment Li Huo Wang was completely insane, and old Lu was almost disfigured by his grasp. "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me? You worthless piece of trash. Has this world ultimately become sick?" It was clearly that wretched old man who attempted to harm Yang Na. I was forced to retaliate in a moment of desperation. But now, it's just that the old man was a bit more seriously injured. Should the blame really be placed on me? Li Huo Wang was furious. Even now he couldn't forget how Nana had been frightened to the point of tears at that time. However, the attending physician's response left him utterly disheartened. "Is that what you call fighting back? This is what I call turning the tables." He coldly pushed up his glasses and began to inquire about the situation at the time. "Tell me the truth. How did you manage to injure old Lu that badly back then? That's not something an ordinary person could do." Hearing this, Li Huo Wang immediately felt guilty. He couldn't possibly say it was because he had taken an immortal pill, could he? Seeing Li Huo Wang stammering and hesitating, the attending physician's expression suddenly darkened. "Don't even think about hiding your condition," he said. "You'd better think carefully before you answer. I really dislike it when my patients lie to me." Upon hearing this, Li Huo Wang suddenly felt that the world was somewhat absurd. However, at the moment, he had no time to criticize the attending physician's questioning attitude. No matter what, he absolutely cannot find out about the Dan pill. What should I do now? Suddenly, he had a brilliant idea and thought of another world. Since the current situation is hard to explain, it's better to go there and lay low for a while. So Li Huo Wang closed his eyes. Instantly, he arrived in this familiar illusory world. It was rather amusing. Could such a stable illusion still be considered an illusion? Seeing his grimy hands in the familiar cave, Li Huo Wang breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what, this way of escaping could be considered a decent solution. Since Li Huo Wang had already been accepted as a nominal disciple by Danyangzi earlier, he naturally now has the opportunity to learn about the teachings. After the scripture lecture ended, Master Danyangzi assigned him a senior brother. This senior brother, with the Taoist name Mythic Yuan, has a slightly stout build and will be responsible for guiding Li Huo Wang to understand the various rules and matters of the sect. Li Huo Wang listened with an indifferent expression, but suddenly, He noticed that one of the people kneeling beside his master was glaring at him with a hostile expression. What's going on here? Why are there so many troublemakers with nothing better to do than stir up trouble everywhere? Li Huo Wang was extremely annoyed, but thanks to Mythic Yuan Senior Brother's introduction, he learned the true background of that guy. That guy is currently the master's only closed-door disciple, with the Taoist name True Kuan. Mentioning this, Mythic Yuan also told him that in the future, when he sees True Kuan Senior Brother, he should show more respect. That guy is the most narrow-minded, so he must be careful not to accidentally offend him due to a moment of carelessness. Upon hearing this, Li Huo Wang smiled nonchalantly. As a civilized person, how could he possibly go looking for trouble? Still, he humbly asked Mythic Yuan what he should pay attention to as a newly appointed named disciple, and what tasks he should undertake next. Speaking of this, Mythic Yuan couldn't help but feel a bit envious of Li Huo Wang. Not only had he been personally taken in as a disciple by their master, but he was also immediately assigned to manage the storeroom, a truly enviable position. However, if that's the reason for wanting the master to teach the method of achieving immortality, there's still a long way to go. When the words achieving immortality reached Li Huo Wang's ears, he was so shocked he nearly dropped his jaw. He grabbed Mythic Yuan Senior Brother, his face filled with disbelief. Can Master really achieve immortality? Seeing how excited the junior brother was, Mythic Yuan pushed him away with a look of disdain. Master's divine powers are indeed extraordinary, he said, but as for the path to immortality, only inner disciples like True Kuan Senior Brother would have a chance to come into contact with it. Hearing such a confirming answer, Li Huo Wang immediately felt more assured. This world truly has many good things, he thought. Since that's the case, I must take more treasures from here to sell for money. However, this delightful thought was quickly set aside as he discovered something even more unbelievable. This time, his master was at the Dan house refining elixirs, and it happened to be the critical moment of opening the furnace. With a grand sweep of his hand, the lid of the Dan furnace, which appeared to weigh at least several tons, instantly soared into the air. Accompanying it, several Dan pills emitting a crimson glow also flew up. Then, with a flick of his sleeve, the master summoned a jade-green gourd. Amidst a dazzling flash, the gourd instantly drew in several Dan pills. This scene left Li Huo Wang utterly stunned. Damn, his perspective was still too narrow. These absurd scenes that could only be read about in novels were actually happening right before his eyes. So why the hell was he still racking his brains over making money? If only he could bring these abilities into reality, how wonderful that would be. Just as he was delightfully fantasizing about life, Master suddenly called out his Taoist name, Li Huo Wang. He jolted instantly. Was work coming so soon? So he had to put on a good show. At this thought, he quickly bowed respectfully and said, "Yes. Bring the medicinal ingredient named by Ling Miao from the storeroom." Upon hearing the order, Li Huo Wang eagerly prepared to comply. But as soon as he heard that name, his heart instantly skipped a beat. By Ling Miao? Wasn't that the girl who had given him a gold bracelet earlier? At the thought of senior sister Wang being shattered by the medicine, Li Huo Wang felt a sudden chill. But time waits for no one. The prolonged silence had already made Dan Yangzi show signs of impatience. "Didn't you hear what I said?" This sudden question startled Li Huo Wang. He stared at the leper's head in front of him. He was somewhat at a loss. And this situation seemed to have just happened to him not long ago. So, on a sudden impulse, he simply ignored everything and once again chose the method of escape. When he opened his eyes, he was surprised to find himself back in the hospital bed, with two familiar figures standing beside him. One was his attending physician, and the other was his mother. Li Huo Wang was somewhat surprised. Why had his mother come so suddenly? Could it be because of what had happened earlier? Seeing the bandage wrapped several times around her son's head, Li Huo Wang's mother felt deeply distressed. The long unseen familiar figure also warmed Li Huo Wang's heart. Since entering the hospital, he hadn't felt the warmth of family for a long time.